Breeders' Cup, I'm in a box, so I don't know that the VIP boxes are going to be the place to roll out the silks and look for them out. But maybe
That's an infield move. Yeah,
that's an infield move.
Bleachers.
Exactly right. That's an all-you-can-drink move on the infield. And at Del Mar, there's a lot more highbrows than not. Hello and welcome to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, the Fat Jack. The weekend is here. Brandon's also your host. He's here also. We bring him in from Louisville, Kentucky. Let's get your weekend underway. Let's get your winning underway. Let's figure out what you're doing wrong if you're doing something wrong. Let's enjoy all the sports going on, including Breeders' Cup. Of course, college basketball starts this week. So many different things going on. From Louisville, Kentucky, Mr. Brandon Rush. How are you, buddy?
I am good, and the fact that college basketball starts is you get into at least for me, a dangerous situation where you're casually paying attention to a bunch of other games, and you'll see scores tick across the bottom, and you'll see a team, let's say Dayton, score 77 points, and you're thinking, my God, who do they play? Only to realize it was basketball. I'm still maybe in a football only mindset, so for the next week or so, I've got that kind of like to be concerned with, but if that's my only concern, then so be it.
There is a little transition for sure as we're watching more sports and more things going on. Budget, per game, bankroll, all those things take on an added meaning when you have all these things going on, especially in light of players' props and different things that have a lot of volume of play. So it's real important when guys get signed up, they follow the recommended betting guide, especially this time of year when it's not just football with the players' props or the UFC. Things are going really, really well. We had another great week last week, a good week last week, not a great week. The bar's so high at this point. A great week is 10-2 or better. I go 10-2 or better. We'll have about 4 of those a season. And we've had a number of weeks this year that have led into Sunday when if I just had a 3-1 or 4-0 Sunday, we'd have had a ton of 10-2s. This last week being one of those. We were 5-1 again on Saturday. So, everybody's making, if you're signing up for football, you're making money. You're signing up for the players' props with that, you're making money. You're signing up for soccer with that, you're making money. You're signing up for any of the longer packages, you're making money. If you're not making money, you're doing something wrong. Go read the recommended betting guide, follow our system, and add up all the plays, only the plays that we're sending you. Everybody's winning. But if there is a frustrating part about this year so far, it's been that we've been on the doorstep of a couple of monster weeks, and then whatever reason, Sunday's been tough for everybody, by the way. The general public had another, I guess, great Sunday, probably did, and the fact that we went 2-2 on Sunday wasn't a big deal. We had won the Monday before, 5-1 on Saturday. Everybody's up. Everybody's having a great time, but you want to go ahead and finish the deal, obviously, and especially last Sunday we go 2-0 on the early games. So we hit both the early games with Baltimore minus the points against Chicago. We hit Houston. They played San Francisco. That was an easy one. I should have triple on all those. And then we get to the late games. A bad play, but a great spot. I was between the Jets and Tennessee as far as one of this. And I left the Jets out because I just don't – their quarterback, if they had played the backup quarterback, I would have played the Jets. But with Fields, I don't trust anything he's doing. Tennessee at 15.5 points. Mark it down, Brandon. They're going to cover more times than not over the next month or so. We're not going to have them most of the time because it's hard playing bottom feeders at this time of the year. But that's normally some of the easiest money is going and getting those teams that have not done anything. Teams that are 0-6 or 0-7, they cover at about a 70% rate the next week in week 8. It's about a 70% cover, which is exactly what the Jets did. I didn't think they'd win, but they covered, left them on the sidelines. But playing teams like New Orleans, that was bad, like Tennessee, that's bad, like Miami, that won straight up, like the Jets that won straight up. If you look at those bottom feeders this time of year, not always, but some of the easiest money is made on those games because the value's there. The average guy doesn't know how to factor in the line versus what he's seeing on Sundays.
Yeah, you're getting some monster lines. You look at the past few weeks, you've seen 13, 14, 15-point underdogs that end up being competitive and in certain cases come out and win. I don't know. When you put out the elite picks over the weekend and I saw the Jets, I thought, eek. I mean, given everything we just said with Justin Fields, basically getting called out by his owner, apparently he literally laid on the bathroom floor of his hotel and cried on Saturday night going into the game. Like, that was one of those things. But yeah, you're right. You got to be willing to play bad teams, especially this time of year, because there is so much value there. Because everyone's taking the Chiefs.
Yeah,
Everyone's taking the Eagles right now, right?
Yeah, it's the easiest way to, like I say, it's not always the case, and I can't say that enough, that it's not something that we're going to spend all year playing bad teams. But bad teams this time of year are one of the places you start when you're looking for the value, and the value is how you generate revenue long term. If you're a type of guy who's won the last couple weeks, favorites went 10-2 going into Monday night, 10-2 against the spread. The favorites were. That's great. Congratulations. But if you're a guy that bets that trend most of the time, as those guys know, they spent the entire season losing up until last week, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, they had a good week. This last week, they had a good week. Teams like New England just burying the books. New England, one of the best, or the highest bet games on the board the last 2 weeks, cashing tickets easily for the house, or for the player. And the house losing on those games. 9-3 to the over going into Monday night. So favorites and overs, which we talk a ton about, not playing favorites and overs, because most of the time, which is all we're interested in, I'm not interested in winning one day. And make no mistake, 5-1 on Saturday cured everything. We won again last week. Everybody put money in their pocket last week. But if you're one of those guys and you had a great week this week playing 5 or 6, 7 of those big favorites, you're the same guy that spent a month and a half losing when we were building profit. So I'm okay getting through a week like this last week, again, where the public did really well. We made money on the week. So excited about that. Excited about this week. Breeders' Cup for free this week, and a $99 weekend. Go to fatjacksports.com right now and get signed up. $99 weekend will go into effect on Friday. We've been really good on Mondays and Thursdays. I'm not giving $99 and the Breeders' Cup for free for the weekend if you sign up on Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday. So if you're a guy that likes to go listen to this podcast, you're still getting great value. If you want to pay $99 for this weekend and get free Breeders' Cup, all you have to do is go through the end of the year, and then you're going to pay less than that. You're going to pay like $70 a week. I guess I understand if they don't have the bankroll, but I don't understand a guy that will wait, lose out on 5-1 Saturdays, lose out on all the winning weeks we've had, waiting for a $44 weekend or a $99 weekend, when if they just would invest in the year, go through the end of the season, it's like $70 a week. It's $1,200, Brandon. How many weeks are left? I mean, we're in
week 9 of the NFL season. So we are just now to the halfway point of the campaign plus the playoffs. So we're talking 12, 13 weeks of football remaining.
So how many weeks? 14?
14 weeks.
14 weeks of football left. You get the Breeders' Cup for free. You're going to get all the bowl games, bowl analysis sheet. You get all the playoffs, everything. $1,400, $1,200. I don't know what that is, but it's under 100. I can do simple math for sure. $80 a week.
85 a week.
85 a week. And that's not missing any of the weekday games. The $99 week special this weekend is not going to get you anything Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You're getting none of that. So you're paying less when you sign up for the season, and you're getting everything. And more importantly, you're going to go from a losing gambler that cares a whole lot about one day or one weekend to a winning gambler that's building profit. To if and when we have a bad week, you don't care. You shrug your shoulders. Sometimes you lose in sports gambling, and then you move on. Again, we won last week, had a good week. I just want to get the perspective. There's two totally different ways to manage sports gambling. One is a winning way, one is a losing way, and these are the type of opportunities that allow you to switch over that fence and get on the winning side simply by signing up long term.
The good news is we get an extra hour this week as we fall back. So an extra hour of potential winning. Is that
what you're doing?
Yeah. Daylight savings time. We're fired up.
I hate it more than anything in the whole world.
I try to find a silver lining. Maybe not the silver lining, but a silver lining.
Exactly what you were doing. You're trying to you're like my wife. You're trying to turn a totally negative situation, and if you lead in with this is such a great thing, it's such good news. It should not hurt. But I'm too far down the road, Brandon. If I was in my 20s, I'd be you know what? Let's do the math on that. I get another hour of sleep. But no, the sun's going down at 3 o'clock. That's what's going to happen. I'm not going to love it, but I will tell you this. We make more money after the sun goes down at 3 than we do when it's up until 9, because I got nothing to do with handicap. And now
The
that
Fat Jack After Dark is definitely a prime money making opportunity.
it really is. And lots of sports going on. Get signed up today at fatjacksports.com. $99 weekend, less for the longer packages and win. All right, last week, Brandon, what jumped out at you? Man, let's start with college football. The SEC just continues to deliver great football week after week. What jumped off the page at you?
I mean, A&M goes into Death Valley and absolutely thumps LSU so badly that they fire their coach. So we now have, I think, 3 open jobs in the SEC alone. That the way that they won was surprising. Indiana continues to roll. Alabama struggled a bit at South Carolina, but I mean they survived the cannibalization. And as you mentioned, not enough tortillas in West Texas to save Oklahoma State.
Yeah, boy, they're bad. That was an easy one. We should have released that one. Stayed off the LSU as far as the release goes. What about Texas? Texas gets through in overtime, is all forgiven because they did something at the end. That team almost went down after, having beat Oklahoma a few weeks ago. They look a lot more human.
They should have 4 losses, and 2 weeks in a row has had to get late game magic in order to win. But now Arch Manning in the concussion protocol. Is he going to play this weekend against Vandy? If not, you're going to turn it over to a transfer quarterback who won 3 games at Troy last year. I mean, they're not out of the woods just yet.
No rest for the weary, for sure, right?
Mm-mm.
I mean, this is a definite. And speaking of that, the Oklahoma Sooners staying in the SEC. I mean, we've got Oklahoma that loses last week to Ole Miss in Norman, where they're supposed to win and take care of business. They end up losing. We released over in that game. It was an easy winner, one of our 5-1 on Saturday. I started out the week on Ole Miss like I just don't think there's any value at all with Oklahoma leading into that game. But I kind of when the total came out and it started looking like there were going to be a bunch of points scored, I felt more comfortable with Oklahoma doing a lot of that scoring. Turned out it didn't work out that way. Ole Miss was doing most of the scoring. Now Oklahoma has to go to Knoxville, which, by the way, we're on in Knoxville, have been for 20-something years, and Oklahoma for 30 years. These are 2 of the OGs as far as the Fat Jack Sports Hour go. And matter of fact, there will be people in Oklahoma that will be, if they find this. And it's, by the way, it's called the Sports Animal in Knoxville. You're going out to Knoxville. It's another sports animal. So I don't know how that works, but it is. I mean, so we got Knoxville Sports Animal, Oklahoma City Sports Animal. They'll be meeting up. Fat Jack Sports Hour out there runs after high school football on Friday night, and this basically similar times it does in the city. So Oklahoma, a 3.5-point underdog on the road at the Vols. I mean, that's a shorter line than I thought it would be. And I know Tennessee hasn't just dominated teams, but I felt they got it done against. I think that Kentucky. When I said this when I went on in Knoxville last week, if you blow out Kentucky, that's a better win than people will think, because Kentucky, Mark Stoops does a really good job of just getting his teams to muddy things up and stay close and win time of possession, keep the other offense on the sidelines, frustrate the other team, and then he figures out a way to lose a lot of times at the end. But them going in and just basically stomping them from start to finish, that's a good win for the Vols. Now they get the Sooners in. We keep talking about elimination games, Brandon, but it's funny how these elimination or evenly matched teams are hooking up at the same time. Tennessee also 6-2, very similar to Oklahoma. Have a couple of losses. Neither of them are, kick the coach out of town or throw away the baby with the bathwater, but they're those litmus test games that are separating you from where you want to be for both of these teams. So what are your thoughts on that, Oklahoma, Tennessee?
Boy, Tennessee, it feels like can name their number against bad teams, and we saw that last week against Kentucky. This may be the best defense that Tennessee has faced all year, even though we've seen what Georgia has done, we've seen what Alabama's been able to do in stretches. This is probably the biggest test for that Tennessee offense that we've seen. The fact that it's at night, they're doing a blackout, the vibes are bad going into Knoxville.
So it's what do you believe more of? Do you believe Oklahoma is going to struggle on the road, which, before South Carolina, I was a proponent of that. I felt like they hadn't played anybody on the road, and that they were going to struggle in the win on the road, and even in Dallas, where it's half that had something to do with it. Well, they went and took care of business in South Carolina. But do you believe that the on the road added factor, the same way we give a lot of credit for Oklahoma teams winning in Norman, that we probably should be doing the same for the Vols, who are taking care of business there, and Oklahoma having really not proven, other than South Carolina, that they can do it on those. So which do you believe more of? Do you believe that the home field will matter, or do you believe that this Oklahoma defense is one of the top 5 in the country? This last week was more of an aberration. They'll shore some things up. Tennessee not good against the number, 1-4 against the spread their last 5. But they're going over a ton. So this team scoring a bunch of points, giving up some points. In theory, that would help OU both ways, because good defenses typically beat good offenses. I mean, ask Houston and San Francisco in the NFL last week. The Houston won of our wins simply because San Francisco had proven they could score, but they weren't going to score in that environment, and they didn't. They didn't very much. So defenses should be able to hold Tennessee down, not let them get into the mid-30s. And if you're not playing great defense, Oklahoma's offense, they still have John Mateer. They still have some of the pieces. They're looking better than certainly I think a lot of people, including myself, thought they would be preseason. But both of these programs come out of this game with one of them with some optimism. I think both these teams are done as far as the playoff goes, but I could be wrong. Things could fall properly for either of them. But the loser, now they're looking up. Heck, you're already getting people, I know in Oklahoma, and probably some of the hillbillies in Tennessee also already calling for their coaches' heads after 2 losses to 2 pretty good teams. So what do you think wins here?
I firmly believe that Tennessee at home is just a whole other environment. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you look back at that Georgia game, they had, that hot start and weren't able to really kind of, close the whole thing out. I feel like I said, this is the biggest test that this defense or that the offense has seen for Tennessee. I would be very surprised if OU was able to rebound after a loss to a home loss. It feels like that's a thing that could beat you twice. So I think Tennessee at home is probably probably going to come out here.
Yeah, better get focused for sure. A lot of Vols, there's connections to Norman. They know the program pretty well. They know Brent Venables very well.
Yes.
Yeah, you better pack a lunch. They're a 3.5-point favorite, total 56.5 right now. My instinct is to go under early in the week right now, but early in the week, my instinct's to go under. I do think Oklahoma's defense will have some success keeping Tennessee out of the end zone. And Oklahoma's going to try to win time of possession 2-1 and keep short passes. And, they made some glaring mistakes last week against Ole Miss. How about throwing some under routes? How about throwing some 10-yard sideline routes instead of throwing it down the field every single time you get a chance? I get not wanting to run it in those key spots and putting yourself behind the sticks, but I don't understand making your quarterback hit a back out of the backfield or a tight end that's wide open. Instead, he's trying to fit it into a small space down the sidelines. Decision-making was not at its best. I'm sure when they watched back that film, they left very frustrated. But frankly, it wasn't even that close. I mean, the game was...
They left a lot of plays on the field. And really, from a play-calling standpoint, I'm surprised they didn't run more in certain situations. And it feels like John Mateer skittish to run. Like he wants to stay in the pocket and make the throw instead of just taking what's in front of him. I think there were many times that he could have ran for a first down and just flat chose not to.
Make a throw would be good. Not the throw, just make a throw.
Throw.
Right. FatJackSports.com, $99 weekend. You'll get all the best games to play. We're 5-1 again last week. The free play on this game is the under the 56.5. And we're going to have a full card again. We've been averaging about 6 games a week. We've gone 4-2 or better every week but 2. Went 3-3 once, went 2-4 once every other week. We're now to Halloween, guys. We're into November. Every other week's been a winner on Saturday, and we've won every week of this season except one since football started. And if you go back, you're up a ton of money if you just played the preseason, you played the soccer over the summer. Get on a longer package, sign up today, and start winning money. How are we doing on time, Brandon?
We need to get in a break. Big NFL slate this weekend. Plus, as you mentioned, the Breeders' Cup. Are you going to go to the Breeders' Cup? We'll talk about that as well. I'm excited and jealous.
In fact, we'll definitely dive into that and much more. Get you some NFL free winners. Don't go anywhere you're listening to the Fat Jack Sports Hour.
Hey guys, this is the Fat Jack. Are you finally ready to get a better plan betting the games this year? Let me help. Go to FatJackSports.com, where we understand that it's not the gambling she hates, it's the losing. FatJackSports.com.
Before the ball is tipped or shot is even taken. before the crowd explodes or history's made. If you're going to bet, have a game plan. Bet legally, set limits, and keep it fun. When gambling becomes a problem, visit responsibleplay.org to find help.
If you want to stay in touch with everything related to the Fat Jack, follow us on all the socials: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, you name it, we are there at Fat Jack Sports. You can also watch the Fat Jack Sports Hour on YouTube every week, get free winners, and tips on how to become a better sports bettor. Plus, see Jack's appearances on the nationally syndicated TV show Beat the Odds. Stay connected with the Fat Jack Sports Service at Fat Jack Sports on all the socials and on YouTube.
Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour, and now here is our host, a man who is excited because it's officially Turkey Month. He is the Fat Jack.
Thank you, Brandon, so much. Fat Jack Sports Hour segment number 2. Getting you ready for the first part of November. My gosh, we have flown through the last couple months. Time flies when you're winning, and that's been what's going on. If you're getting all the plays, you're very happy, you're excited. Guys are taking advantage of those longer-term, all-inclusive packages and getting the UFC and getting the soccer and getting the players' props that are winning just about every single week, averaging about 8 games of profit a week. I thought what the average is over the course of the season. So a great time to add those, great time to get signed up. And we're heading in November. You talked about falling back. Mentioned the Breeders' Cup before the break. The Breeders' Cup Saturday is at Del Mar. I will be at the Breeders' Cup. What's funny, Brandon, I'm taping the TV show on Thursday. And it's the Halloween edition. So we got Halloween edition to the Chalk and Chat TV show that I tape out of Las Vegas. And we all are dressing up. Last year I went as one of the co-hosts, which is kind of funny. This year, I'm going as a Breeders' Cup jockey.
Ooh.
And so I've got
Are you getting the silks, the boots, everything?
I got the silks. We're sitting at a table. It just came in the mail. I should go look at it and unpack it. But anyway, it's at least the whip, which I love, and the helmet with the goggles and the the silks, the shirt. I think it's got some pants, so I probably got the whole thing. I may head over. I'm going to Breeders' Cup. Maybe I should just wear that and see if I can catch them out.
I think that, yeah, it's worth a shot. I don't know if the weight allowances will adjust the handicapping at all. But yeah, if you get in, I mean, jockeys get what, 8%, 10% of a
I could
purse?
just get one good mount, just one good one. That'd be awesome.
That's what she said.
Yeah, exactly. You don't see a lot of costumes and/or dress painting at the Breeders' Cup. That's not a thing.
It kind of feels like, though, with Friday of the Breeders' Cup being Halloween, like maybe now's the time.
Maybe I should do that. If I do, we'll get some video. We'll put it up. I probably won't.
I definitely want to see a picture before the broadcast of
I'll definitely get something like that for Halloween and put that up at least from the studio. But yeah, Breeders' Cup. I'm in a box, so I don't know that the VIP boxes are going to be the place to roll out the silks and look for a mount, but maybe
that's an infield move. Yeah,
that's an infield move.
Bleachers.
Exactly right. That's an all-you-can-drink move on the infield. And at Del Mar, there's a lot more highbrows than not. So anyway, I love Breeders' Cup. Those plays are free. So when you sign up at FatJackSports.com, at least through the weekend, you're going to get Saturday, all the races on Saturday. You'll get our predictions for free. Now, please keep in mind that the Breeders' Cup is the hardest set of horse races to pick on the planet anywhere.
Every year, it's tougher than the Derby. It's tougher any of the Breeders' Cup or the Triple Crown races. The Queen's Jubilee thing in the Royal Ascot was what I was thinking of. I mean, it is the elite of the elite. This is the Super Bowl of horse racing.
And great.
Yeah, the absolute best of the best, and it's not the best 3-year-olds. It's not the best fillies. It is literally the best horses on the planet. You'll get some horses that have won this race previously. The Turf Distaff and all these other races. It is elite stuff. So yeah, it is it is a harder handicap, but it is a lot of fun, and because it is so hard, sometimes a lot of really good payouts.
Well, huge payouts. And I say all this because inevitably we will have one or two idiots that will spend a bunch of money on the Breeders' Cup and then complain about having spent a bunch of money on the Breeders' Cup. I will put in the explanation when I send it out exactly what you just said. Very hard to hit, best horses on the planet, please play with caution, they're free for a reason, all those things. Some people Can't read, won't read, don't care. They're gonna bet it, and if it doesn't win, now we've had years before we won 4 of the races or 5 of the races and made thousands of dollars for free. And I don't ever get a thank you on those, but I will get if we don't win a bunch of money. Some guy said, I lost all my money. Yeah, I know you went 6. I think last year I did. I went like 5-1 on Saturday, 3-1 on Sunday, and got people bitching because of the Breeders' Cup results. I mean, come on, guys. Be better than that. All you're telling us when you complain about that is you don't know what you're doing. You probably shouldn't be, or you can't read. I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, just don't complain about free things that we're telling you right up front are very difficult to hit. Enjoy the 5-1 football Saturdays and make money all year. So FatJackSports.com. If you just want the Breeders' Cups, those races, those will be $99 as well. So don't get those packages mixed up just because you see one for $99. There's 2 or 3 there. Some people can't bet football, don't want to bet football, whatever, but they want to bet the Breeders' Cup. So they'll have a package available for them if they want to do that. $99 is a great deal. It's about, $10 a race, $12 a race. And like I say, over the years, we've done very, very well. So FatJackSports.com, get those as an added bonus. Anything else on Saturday jump out at you, Brandon, that says
I mean, the game day game is going to be intriguing because it is they're actually going to a Big 12 contest, Cincinnati against Utah, ranked versus ranked. Cincinnati flying under the radar this year. I don't think a lot of people nationally really kind of have given that program a lot of respect. Scott Satterfield, since he left Louisville under just left him at the altar a little bit and underperformed. Sluggish start to his tenure there, but they've got things rolling. They are a fun team to watch. They're probably one of the more physical teams in the Big 12, which, as we've seen in previous years, can really kind of dominate that conference.
Yeah, the Big 12, a lot of people would say at this point is still wide open.
Yes.
I absolutely still think Texas Tech is the class of that conference. So, but but to your point, there are teams playing better. Utah has been good. Besides the loss to BYU, they've been good. In Cincinnati, you're right. Nobody talks about it all. Texas Tech, only a 7-point favorite at Kansas State, getting a lot of credit for that win last week at Kansas State over Kansas in their in-state rivalry. Everybody was saying in that game, if not now, win. I guess never is the answer. I mean, that was the year, I would think. That's an interesting one. Cincinnati, 7.5-point underdog to Utah. So I think this is probably where it should be. Cincinnati, who's their best win right now, Brandon? Look that up. See who their best win is.
I mean, they barely beat Kansas. They barely beat Iowa State. And then they beat Baylor in their last game out. So I mean, after an opening season loss to Nebraska on a neutral site, they've handled business, but they have not done it convincingly. And defensively, though, I think they are a little bit gettable.
Yeah, and Utah, you would think, would be able to take advantage of that. Cincinnati's covered 5 of their last 6. They're one of those teams that have kind of snuck up on some teams, i.e. Memphis is the same type of deal, covering a bunch of numbers, not great, but getting it done against the number. They've gone over 5 of their last 7 games, so they're giving up some points. Utah also very good against the spread, 8-2 against the spread their last 10. And they've gone over 8 of their last 12. So scoring points, giving up some points also. Utah also over the total 5 of their last 6 at home. So I think people would think Utah is run by defense and running game. That's not necessarily been the case this year. They've been scoring a few more points. And they are a little more battle-tested. So I'll go ahead and lay the number. In college, we don't get as much. In the NFL, we'll get these 1-5 or 2-16. We had Baltimore at 1-5 favorite over Chicago last week, and we didn't say a word about it. We thought, okay, well, Lamar Jackson might come back. Well, that's a whole other story, by the way. We could spend a whole show on that whole injury report thing they had going. But in college, we normally, when you see lower ranked teams favored over higher ranked teams, it's a second for pause, especially when it's over a touchdown. And that's kind of what you're getting here. A more battle tested team at home, 24th in the country, laying 7.5 versus Cincinnati that is plus 7.5. I would wait, hope that number goes to 7. Then I'd play Utah minus the points. That's your second free winner of the day. FatJackSports.com. Get signed up, $99 for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. with the free Breeders' Cup, or just get the Breeders' Cup. You want to make the Breeders' Cup $89. That way you're not paying the exact same as the entire football weekend would get you. So $89 for the Breeders' Cup. I add those other sports. We'll have soccer going all weekend. We'll have UFC going again this weekend. Players props, as I said, just building profit almost every single week. Get those, add those today, and make money there as well. NFL, Brandon, what jumps out at you there this week? Let's turn to last week. What hit you last week? I talked a second about that Baltimore injury report. I mean, they got Lamar Jackson in. I go on the TV show I released Baltimore. It was a great spot for them. Chicago can't stop the run. They're bottom 3 against the run. You now have Henry at running back. You've got Lamar Jackson in the game. That seemed like a slam dunk. Then, he's a full participant at practice on Wednesday and Thursday. Then, oh, by the way, no, that was actually his running scout team, not full participant, and now he's not going to play. So the line immediately jumps back to 1.5. I didn't do a thing because I felt like they were going to cover. You can't get guys out when they deceive us like that. We can't get guys out of bad bets. There's no way to hedge that back. It's not like I'm going to say, okay, play Chicago plus 1.5 or bet more on the backup quarterback with the Ravens. There's no way out. So if you had bet it early, which has been a very good thing, we send out picks early. On Wednesdays, I send out the first set of picks for the weekend. Betting those games when you've got them sent has been a very profitable tool. It's made about 5 extra games of profit versus waiting until Saturday morning because numbers move, and we send those out for a reason. So normally that's a good thing. But if you had done that this last week and you bet Baltimore, and I sent it out early because he looked like, I found out the day before, looked like he's going to play, looked like he's definitely going to practice the next day on Tuesday or Wednesday, going to practice. So I send it out thinking it's probably going to go to 7. Sits 6.5 all week and then moves back to 1.5. You can't get him out of that. So I just left it alone. I didn't want to hedge back. I didn't want to do anything because I felt like Baltimore was still the right side. Chicago's vulnerable to the run. And if you can't stop the run against a team that can run.
with Derrick Henry,
right?
I mean, yeah, that's a problem.
Just because he's fumbled 97 times the first month of the season doesn't mean he's still not Derrick Henry. That's a problem. So that was a bad bet. So I just let it lay, and we played him as an opinion with the Sunday release at 1.5, and it was an easy winner. So other than that, what jumped out last week at you?
I mean, the Scadabo's ankle injury was rough, and I'm very curious to see what that does for the Giants going forward because he's been a huge identity for that team. Great win for Green Bay on the road at Pittsburgh, getting maybe a little bit of revenge against Aaron Rodgers. Indy continues to roll. Denver continues to roll. And I am shunning. I know you put a shun on a team earlier this year. I personally am shunning the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, wow.
They've had 2 very big wins this year. They beat Buffalo. They have lost to Carolina and Miami, who are 2 of the absolute bottom feeders. That is a team I cannot figure out. I will flat out refuse to even look at any of their games for at least the next month.
I don't think the coach or more importantly, the offensive play caller has any idea what to do with Kirk Cousins.
No.
So that was just embarrassing. They're not throwing the ball. And I didn't release that game. It wasn't a big deal, but you start looking at the numbers. There's 2 things that you touched on, but one of them was that he's through a 1.5. He's thrown the ball 3 times. I mean, you've got to throw the ball. Kirk Cousins is not dead. I mean, he would be.
And you're paying him a bajillion dollars. Let Kirk cook.
Yeah, at least a little bit. I mean, because that one's out of hand before they even let him do anything. So he ended up getting over their passing attempt total, which is what I'd bet. So I ended up getting there, but I did make a note as I'm watching the game that they got to let him throw the ball. He was over 30.5 attempts and through almost a 1.25. I think he had like 6 attempts. I think he ended up with 31. So we ended up winning. That was a player's prop. The other one, Scatterbo, the one thing about the player's props that really gets a little bit aggravating at times is injuries do not, they're only, if you go over, they're bad. You don't need injuries. And we got a couple of those. 2 of them last week and 2 this week. And Scatterbo was one of them. I had over 21.5 receiving yards. He had 1 catch literally the first drive or so for 18.
Yeah, I thought, let's just go ahead and mark that as a win right now.
Yeah, and so that, he gets 18 on 1. They love throwing him the ball because it gets his big body out against those defensive backs.
Mm-hmm.
It was a no-brainer that he was going to get over, and he dislocates his ankle. I don't know if that surprised anybody that he did dislocate his ankle. This guy plays with such reckless abandonment. I mean, you never see him. He does not care about his body. And it's an odd injury for sure, dislocation. But him being injured, there's a few players that you watch after 30 years of doing this professionally that you watch and you're like, okay, I'll bet this, but is it going to surprise me if he doesn't make the game? Absolutely not. I mean, because he is one of those that just never doesn't take a hit, never doesn't look for contact, which we love as a fan. But when you're betting over on these, which we've made a mint betting over on Scadaboo's receptions, on his yards,
carries,
all of it, because we're figuring out before everybody else, he is their offense. I get Jackson Dart's great, or a much better improvement, but Scadaboo's
is he only good because of what Scadaboo brings that offense?
Yeah, he's what's made them go, is his ability to get out in the second level and basically just run through people. Now they get the 49ers. They're only 2.5-point underdog at home, and I've been real critical of last week, and actually 2 weeks ago when they beat Atlanta, and last week I was really down on what they are. They're one-dimensional offensively, which they are. Now people saw that last week, so they'll apply that to their recency bias handicapping. They also lost Warner at linebacker, huge loss. He calls the defense. They're not stopping the run as well. So if you have multiple facets offensively, they become a real easier matchup because they don't have middle linebacker, don't have some of the secondary. They're banged up on offense. The backup quarterback's hurt. The starting quarterback's got a toe. All these things going on. So where do you land there? But if Scadaboo's in, we're playing the Giants this week for sure.
Yep.
You get the running ability of Dart, anything at the perimeter with the receivers and Scadaboo. San Francisco is going to struggle stopping that offense. But now you got Scadaboo gone. There's not but one of him out there. And you're right, how quickly they're able to kind of adjust to that. And frankly, losing a couple straight after giving one away at Denver doesn't exude confidence either. So tough game to pick. Who do you like in that one?
San Francisco I feel like is probably the right call, especially if they are to get Brock Purdy back into the lineup. If he comes back and does some things, then great. But yeah, the drop off from Scadaboo to Tyrone Tracy is going to be measurable, and I don't know that the Giants coaching staff is capable of maybe putting a game plan together after kind of finding all the pieces, finding the recipe, and now they've taken the meat and potatoes out of that plate. That's a tough bet for me.
I'll tell you what's interesting is this week is either going to be a bloodbath for the public, speaking of Halloween, or the books are going to lose 3 in a row in a bad way. Because if you look at the lines and look at some of the games, they're making
some
it
big numbers.
Pretty easy for you to play some of the better teams. The Patriots have done nothing but cash over the last 2 weeks at a huge rate. They're getting the Falcons that, as you said, look totally lost. Even if they get their quarterback back, are they the Atlanta team that had taken care of business against Buffalo 3 weeks ago now? Or are they the team that went to San Francisco and the team we saw last week? The Patriots have been nothing but a cash cow. You get the Colts that everybody are believing in right now at 7-1, facing the Steelers that looked a lot more human this last week. So
that's a defense that's struggling too. That has had trouble stopping the run.
And getting the Colts at such a short number, I think the general public's going to love that. I mean, Mike Tomlin's great as a home underdog, although he's 0-1 the last week as a home dog. But 21-8 against the spread, that's almost 75% over his career with Pittsburgh as a home dog. But as I said, he's 0-1 over the last 7 days. So what are you going to believe in there? Like a lot of people will like the Colts at that short price. You get the Panthers that we said, look, lost again. They're playing the Packers. It looked like they've got it back on track. So a lot of these teams, a lot of these matchups, you're going to have some uncomfortable spots. I mean, who's walking up playing the Titans against anybody? I mean, they look like they don't have any idea what they're doing. Like the coach took the playbooks. He took everything. He took all the sweetener. They can't sweeten their coffee. They got nothing going on there.
Took the ping pong table out of the locker room. Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, it looks like nobody knows how to spell football going on in Tennessee right now. And they're only getting 10 at home against the Chargers. Again, it's that home dog. This is the last week of that home dog of the first 9 weeks. That is an underdog of 7 or more is really good against the number. 37-10 against the spread. That's since 2020. And they only have about 6 losses in the last 3 years to the tune of about 25 wins. So even better percentage in the last 3 years. Home dogs, first 9 weeks of the season of a touchdown or more. So this is the last week for that, and that is the game that falls into that. I can't bet them, because if you bet them, you got to watch them. And I definitely don't want to watch Tennessee do anything.
I love myself too much to put myself through that. I was actually in Nashville over the weekend when the Titans were playing, and it felt like a funeral out in public. It was weird.
It's hard to watch. The other one in that will be Thursday night's game. The Ravens given 7.5 to the Dolphins. Is that same more than a touchdown favorite on the road, not doing very, very well. I think there's easier spots this weekend. As I said, Sunday, over the course of an entire season, Brandon, we make a ton of money in the NFL. This year, it's been great on Mondays, great on Thursdays. The NFL on Sunday has not been great. But we've had great Saturdays that have more than offset any corrections we've had on Sundays. This last week we were 2-2 on Sunday. It wasn't like it was bad. But we lost a unit because the selections lost and the opinions won. So it was a unit, but we went 5-1 on Saturday. So everybody won on the week, and that's not counting the other sports. Over the course of the season, so expect a huge run in the NFL. We didn't forget how to handicap the NFL. We're going to have a lot of profit in the NFL. And the good news is for guys that have waited is that those weeks are coming. We've won in spite of our Sunday NFL to this point. Going forward, it will be even bigger because college football, we're absolutely dialed in. And the NFL, very, very close. So FatJackSports.com, great time to get signed up. Great time to start winning, betting the games against the spread. How are we doing on time?
We should get to a break. I want to get your thoughts on the NBA betting fiasco / scandal with that's been going around, and wonder out loud if you've been invited to a Chauncey Billups poker game.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll talk about that and much, much more. So don't go anywhere. Stay with us to the break. We'll come back. We'll talk about that. Come right back. Talk about the NFL. Get you some more free winners. It's a $99 weekend. The Breeders' Cup is free. Get signed up today. You're listening to the Fat Jack Sports Hour.
Back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Before the ball is tipped or shot is even taken, before the crowd explodes or history's made. If you're going to bet, have a game plan. Bet legally, set limits, and keep it fun. When gambling becomes a problem, visit responsibleplay.org to find help.
Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour, and for the final time this week, here is our host. Terry Rozier likes his overs. He is the Fat Jack.
Thank you, Brandon, so much. Fat Jack Sports Hour, segment number 3. Yeah, you had the NFL, or excuse me, the NBA, got themselves in a little bit of a gambling scandal. I was actually, it's funny. I always tell something's going on when my phone starts blowing up from media outlets around the country, needing a quote or want me to come on. I went on 3.
Want your insight as a handicapper into the news of the day.
Yeah, I've been doing this for 30 years. I know a lot of people in the business, those type things. I went on 3 different TV deals and a number of radio stuff that I don't normally do on Thursday simply because of this story. For those you don't, most everybody knows right by now, right? I mean, they've got
you would think, but just a quick synopsis: a couple NBA players in trouble for basically throwing their props, not necessarily throwing games, but if you're betting, oh, hey, I'm going to have under 6.5 rebounds tonight, play a quarter, get a hamstring, and then I'm out, that ticket automatically cashes. So FBI's involved. There's a whole bunch going on.
Italian Mafia. It's definitely going to turn up on Netflix.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
A lot going on. That's different from the poker deal, which we can talk about too. Let's just quickly dismiss any type of misnomers out there on what has occurred, and more importantly, the value of having legalized sports gambling in this situation. So there's a big difference, Brand. Obviously, if you want to rig something as a player, the easiest thing to do is a player's prop on yourself that is an under. All right,
Yep.
Easiest way to do it. Here's the problem. Monetizing that to a point that makes it worthwhile, even in college, which there's a reason why they don't offer a lot of college players props, but even in college, but it's certainly in the NFL, NBA or NFL or any of those, monetizing it to the point to make it worth your while, where it basically will ruin your entire life, which is what's happening to these guys. I mean, Chauncey Billups and other, they're in a lot of trouble for different things. But once you, and so that's the problem. If the question is, can you rig a player's prop? Absolutely. Is it worth it? to anybody in this market? Not really. If we were going and betting with Guido the Killer Pimp on the street corner, and I had a player's prop on me, and I was going to bet under it, I wanted to bet $50,000, let's say, which is a lot of money, but not enough if you're making millions a year to really make it worth your while. Guido's going to take it. He's going to not like it, but he probably would. And if and when I rig that prop and win, he's going to do what with that information, Brandon? Even though he suspects there might be a problem there.
He's going to take the action.
And what's he going to do after the fact? Is he going to call his mommy and tell him, the Fat Jack rigged the plays prop, and there's nobody to call because you're Guido the Killer Pimp.
Yeah.
Here's what happens. You don't call anybody. You call one of your you-know-whats and have them go out and turn a few more tricks and try to make it back. And then you don't take any more prop, but you don't tell anybody. Here's the problem, Brandon. Now, all of these sports books that are taking this action all talk to each other. They're all intertwined on the back end in a security umbrella that basically anytime, Brandon, if I place $1,000 bet on something with certain casinos, I have to wait 5 to 7 minutes for some supervisor of a supervisor to allow that bet to go through. And these are houses that I have tried to make think that I'm a losing gambler. I spend a lot of time making sure they don't mark my accounts and limit my bets, those type of things. The point is, if you walk in and you try to place an under on a player's prop in an NBA game, and you try to place any more than like $500, you're going to be flagged. And you're
going to be in a database, and any place you go, they're going to know, hey, this guy. They're going to start noticing trends, because if you only place wagers on, say, like 1 or maybe 3 or even 5 players, they're going to start connecting some dots, and it's going to get messy for you really quickly. So
much deeper than that even. What they do is the minute they see a volume of money come in on a certain prop or a certain situation that they're not normally getting. These guys that are aren't rigging it on every game. They're picking 1 game or 2 games or 5 games. And so now, instead of this player having $10,000 across across all markets on a player, or $20,000, let's say, now he's got $300,000. All right. So even if all these books took the action, alarms are going off with all of them. Now, wait a minute. Number 1, it's an under. Number 2, it's a player's prop. And number 3, it's a ridiculous amount of money. What's going on? So they immediately start, okay, who's placing those bets? Let's watch and see how he plays. Oh my God, he went out in the game. This has been ongoing for 2 or 3 years, simply based on the fact that they wanted to take down as many people as possible. But it's been known about since the very first time these jackasses did this.
Yep.
So it's not just about, can you rig a bet? Absolutely. Is it worth it to rig a bet? Never. Because they're going to, it's like passing a fake dollar bill as a normal person. You're eventually going to get caught for sending counterfeit money out. They're going to figure out who did it. They're going to figure out how many he did, and they're going to take you and throw you under the federal jail. So don't do that either. These guys, all they proved by doing this is that they are stupid. Because they weren't even betting it with. If you're going to do this, go find Guido, who's standing down there someplace in some city, and at least give yourself a chance to not be caught. The minute they up their dollars to make it worthwhile to rig these props, they sign their own grave certificate on ruining their life. Because these guys, the benefit is the fact that sports gambling is legal. That's a good thing. If you don't want players' props to be rigged, if you don't want sporting events to be you want them to be on the up and up, you need to encourage legalized sports gambling, because that's who's paying attention to this. It's not the NBA.
It's not their job. It's not their job.
Right?
It's on the sports books and the casinos and everyone else and the regulators to be the watchdogs there. It's not the NBA's. Yeah,
they have more to lose than does the NBA. Everybody's talking about the NBA. Oh my gosh, this is such a black market. No, this is a black mark on gambling. The gamblers are losing money when some jackass decides to only have 6 rebounds instead of 6.5 and fakes a hamstring injury and sits down. He sits down, the league goes on, they're fine. They don't even care. Sports gamblers, or the houses that book these bets, they take a monetary loss that beats them out of money. That is not good for them. They're the ones that are policing this thing. So if you want you want sports gambling, if you want bets to be on the up and up, and you don't want things to be fixed in pro sports, then you want legalized sports gambling. So that's another thing. We'll talk about the poker next time. You had to be even bigger. Chauncey Billups just proved he's like a guy that calls and complains about the Breeders' Cup when he goes 10-0. He's just proven to me he's the stupidest guy in the room. That's what Chauncey Billups did. He's proved how stupid you have to be to be a head coach. One of the only there's only a few of the there's
only 32 head coaching jobs in the NBA.
He's got one, yet he's out for $50K rigging sports bets with the rigging poker games with the Italian mafia. Give me a break. That guy needs to be tested. That is really, really stupid. FatJackSports.com, $99 weekend. Breeders' Cup plays are free. Sign up for the longer packages. It breaks down about $85. We did the math earlier. You get all the football through the Super Bowl for about $85 a week with the playoffs, with the bowl games, with all of it, including the Breeders' Cup for free. Or just get the Breeders' Cup this weekend on Saturday for $89. How are we doing on time? Will you get out, or we got time for free?
We probably should get out of here. We took a lot of time on that. Real quick though, Kansas City at Buffalo this weekend. Potential AFC Championship preview. A lot of history between these teams. That is the game of the weekend in the NFL in my eyes.
It is a big one. I don't think Buffalo's cured. That's why Kansas City is a small favorite on the road. I think that this last week they looked a lot better, but this is a team whose wins had been against teams with a 3-24 record before last week. And so they had not beaten good teams. They've not stopped the run very well. I think it is going to be a very, very compelling game just from a matchup standpoint, but there is a reason why the Chiefs are a small favorite in that one. Guys, don't drink and drive. Wager responsibly. Have a great weekend this week. Good luck to all your teams out there. If you're betting, bet responsibly, and definitely get signed up at FatJackSports.com. Until next week, when we'll be in November, we will have already fallen back. I will be in about a 2-degree worse mood, but with the big weekend we're going to have as far as the picks go, it's going to be great. So it'll all even out. You guys have a great week. I'll talk to you soon. For next week, for Brandon and the Fat Jack, this has been the Fat Jack Sports Hour.